Hi guys, it's Jacob from StringBuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being the music journalism site, links are in the description down below, and we have a brand new song review for you today, and it's the latest track by Incubus, and that's State of the Art, so I'm going to refer to the original article as I usually do for these videos, so I hope you enjoy. After enjoying their last few singles which they've released ahead of this upcoming release, I went into this track actually pretty excited. Glitter Bomb, although far from being perfect, I will say that, showcased a much more mature songwriting side to the group, and one which was kind of bombastic as well. And I think fans really enjoyed the outcome of that track in particular, not so much Nimble Bastard, even though I enjoyed that, and deservedly so. They've been waiting around for a long time for a new Incubus record, so I think this one is shaping up, I will say that, to be quite decent and maybe worth the wait. So shall we see what I thought of this brand new track? Well, it's okay. I will say it's just okay, but it's not up to scratch in comparison to Nimble Bastard or Glitter Bomb in my opinion. It's just a bit weak and toothless, and it just basically falls under every single rock cliche in the book to an absolute T as well. The vocal performance is fine, but over dramatized, often sounding a little bit whingy in my opinion. The bass is practically redundant in this track and hasn't been mixed very well either, just to cap that off. The transitions are incredibly weak, and that's a big point for me, perhaps the biggest point, as no section really cut through with any impact, and it just sort of plodded along from section to section, sounded as if it was drifting really, and the song just doesn't have the power it really needs to make this softer ballad or softer rock ballad really work. These tracks need that sort of impact, that power, that, I don't know, substance to it, just to make it feel a little less cheesy. And on the subject of cheesiness, there are some really corny lines thrown into the lyrics here, and I just feel this whole weak metaphor approach taking center stage throughout the majority of the track was not a good idea. Some of the metaphors in here are really quite cringe-inducing. I must admit, I'm really disappointed in this track. When it comes to the production cycle of this track, it's a strange one really, because in the Glitter Bomb video review, as well as the site review, I actually moaned about it being a little too thin, especially in the low end, quite a lot throughout its runtime, whereas this track just couldn't control its bass. The bass, though much more wholesome this time around, which I do like, often swamps the mix in the low ground in my opinion, and that sounds more like feedback than actual bass playing, so it sounded a bit more wobbly than it should have. The percussion has these big bolstered toms and kicks, but the transitions are so weak that they never really get utilized, so I think the musicality sort of let down the actual decent mixing when it comes to the percussion. The vocals, mixing wise, I thought were actually pretty good. It's probably the standout thing in the production here, and I'm impressed at how organic the vocal track really is on this song. The guitars have a more muddy tone this time around, and they are thicker, which I did enjoy, but the musicality meant that I never really noticed them. So again, I felt it was actually the songwriting of this track which let this song down rather than the production, which is a complete flip to the other two songs. I think the producer did their best with what they were given, but they weren't given very much. Moving on to the musicality of this track, I must admit I was a little disappointed to hear a song as predictable as this. I mean, Glitter Bomb constantly kept changing and evolving as well, with different riffs and pieces of decoration being thrown out there in all the right places. This track, on the other hand, is just some strumming, a whiny vocal performance, and some straight 4/4 beats with no real interesting fills. It's disappointing in each aspect for me, as I know they can do much better than this, and they've shown that fairly recently. I think this will be more of a filler track for the album, and maybe the album needs that, but I guess I won't know until I see some context. The vocal performance, or rather the vocal melodies I will say, are dull and forgettable. The chordal routine is by the barrel and kind of simple really. The bass is uninspired and wasted on this track, and the fills on the drums, as I've already said, are very lazy, very forgettable. It just doesn't have that cutting edge or that memorable phrase for you to really hold on to, and although they tried with that pre-chorus, it just wasn't enough for me, and especially in comparison to what we've already recently been given. I think the big thing for me though are the transitions, as I've already mentioned, as each section just kind of sounded the same because nothing really crashed in or really gave much impact coming back in. I mean, the final chorus kind of did with this sort of elongated fill, but it just wasn't enough for me. Lyrically, the track is really cheesy and really cliche, and the whole years have teeth but sometimes they bite thing is really corny to me. It's that sort of style of lyric writing where you have lots of metaphors that don't really mean that much but are portrayed in a style that they mean much more than they could possibly suggest. So it's some false metaphors is what I usually call them when it comes to music. So all in all, a dull track and nowhere near as good as their past few singles, so I'm disappointed. So I gave it a G rating of 5 out of 10 because I think it's an average rock track, an average soft rock ballad. It's not below average or anything like that, just I expected more. I expected certainly above average from this group. So if you like this video, then please leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye-bye.